Hi everyone, today I have come with a book review, and the book I have selected is The Atlas of Impossible Longing by Anuradha Roy. This is Anuradha Roy's debut novel, which she wrote in 2008, and she later went on to write four more novels. This book was selected by World Literature Today as one of the 60 essential English language works of modern Indian literature. The Atlas of Impossible Longing is one of the best books I read in 2024, and I wanted to tell you about it. So let's start. The story unfolds like a beautiful tapestry, and there are parts which are really bright and rich and brilliant and which just draws you in. And then there are parts where the story slides into gentle melancholy, and you feel as if the colors are being leached out and it's a faded place where you're going. So, the story and the narrative is one that will just draw you in as a reader. This is the story of three generations. Amulya is a businessman, an entrepreneur. He's a first time entrepreneur and he decides to set up a factory in the small town of Songad. He moves from Calcutta to Songad, and his factory is one which will manufacture herbal medicines. The area is rich in herbs and multiple plant life, and so he wants to use that. Amulya is married to Kanan Bala. Kanan Bala loves Calcutta and everything there. And one fine day, she finds that her husband has decided to move to Songad, this tiny town of Songad. And he builds a huge house on the outskirts of the town. So there is the forest nearby and the town, and between both is this big house. The next generation is Nirmal. Nirmal marries Shanti, and they are crazy in love with each other. But this love ends in a tragedy. The next generation after that is Bakul, their daughter. And Bakul is growing up in a house which is completely dysfunctional. Then there is Mukunda, an orphan who is being brought up by the family, and this indescribable bond between Bakul and Mukunda. So that is the basic characters, basic set of characters. I mean, there are so many more who are in this huge canvas, but I will not go into that. So let me just stick to this set of people and their story. So the novel starts when Amulya decides to move from Calcutta. And like I said, Kanan Bala is devastated. But she feels that, there is hope, and that somehow, somewhere, her husband will take her back to Calcutta. So she lives in that longing. So this book, like the title suggests, is a lot of longing. There is a longing for home. There is a longing for affection. There is a longing for a connection. There is a longing for love. There is a longing for family. So all these things come together in this novel. And also the social and political situation, because this novel is set in the early 1900s and so much was happening in India during that time. And so the social and political situation is woven into the narrative. It does not, I mean, they are plot points and they do not stick out as being forced into the story. There is the plight of widows. There is the exploitation of tribals. There is the caste divide, and there is the religious animosity. So all this is brought out through the characters' lives. So yeah, where were we? So yeah, Kanan Bala and Amulya have come to Songad and they build this house and they live in it. And Kanan Bala is so puzzled that her husband does not realize how much she's missing Calcutta. And she tries to be the perfect wife and be there for him. But Amulya is completely caught up in his world. He comes home and he goes into his garden and he's so happy there. He fails to realize that his wife is becoming more and more melancholic and moody. And when he sees that, he just cannot understand. He thinks that he's given her everything. So why is she still so sad? So that is Kanan Bala and Amulya. And then there is the life of Nirmal and Shanti. They beget a daughter, Bakul. Bakul is this precocious little child, and she finds that she's in a house where she does not have anybody to call her own. Her grandfather is in a world of his own. Her father disappears for months on end. Her mother is not there with her. Her grandmother is locked up in a room for particular reasons. I am not divulging all that. I mean, you might be able to read it if you go online, but read the book and see what is happening in these people's lives. So Bakul and Mukunda, they are drawn to each other and they have this fantastic understanding. And it's when they grow up that people start having problems with their relationship, their friendship. And they are separated, and Mukunda goes off. So there is a lot of change and there is a lot of emptiness in all these people's lives. There is a longing for something more. So the story actually progresses in leaps. I feel that when they move from Calcutta to Songarh, there's this huge leap. Everything changes. The people change, their personalities change, their circumstances change. The second leap happens when the tragedy strikes Nirmal and Shanti's life. There is a complete upheaval. And the third leap happens when Mukunda leaves for Calcutta. By then, he's grown. They grow up. Mukunda grows up. Bakul grows up. And Mukunda has a life of his own in Calcutta. And he has a different set of problems there. But through it all is that bond that ties both of them together. And through it all is the longing that is there. The longing in all these characters' lives. So, The Atlas of Impossible Longing by Anuradha Roy is a book which has to be read. You should read the book for its exquisite language. You should read the book for the characters and how real they are. They are flawed. They have their own problems. They have their own weaknesses. They also have their own beautiful sides. You feel so angry with Amulya, and you also feel sad for that man. There is Kanan Bala, who is losing touch with reality. You can see the reflections of a lot of people in your life in Kanan Bala. Then there's Bakul and Mukunda. I'm not even going into the story because that is so beautiful. So when you read it, you will understand. This is not a sad story. It's got a beautiful ending. And I would just like to read a paragraph. It's a slightly big paragraph, but it'll help you to understand what kind of language Anuradha Roy has and the style that she uses, and the word pictures that she draws. It's so good. So let me just read a paragraph which I have written down. So this is when Amulya and Kanan Bala, they shifted to Songarh, and what Kanan Bala feels. Okay, so yeah. Quote, the silence that to Amulya meant repletion locked Kanan Bala within a bell jar she felt she could not prise open for air. She had disliked it from the start. The large house with echoing empty rooms, the wild, enormous garden where leaves rustled and unfamiliar berries plopped onto the grass. The want of visitors, the absence of theatre shows and festivity. Instead, cowbells tinkling, the occasional clopping of a horse's hooves, the ghostly throb of tribal drums from far away, the croaking of 100 frogs after rain, the inscrutable sounds from the forest at night. In Calcutta, in her rambling family home, crowded with siblings and aunts and uncles, there was always the possibility of a chat. The comforting sounds of nearby laughter, gossip, clanging utensils, squabbling sisters-in-law, the tong-tong of rickshaw bells, the further away din of the bazaar, the cries of vendors, the afternoon murmurs of a decrepit goldsmith who visited them with boxes of new trinkets and a tiny silver balance to weigh them on. Unquote. So this is how Anuradha Roy writes. And this is what Kanan Bala was missing from her life when she was in Songarh. So, Atlas of Impossible Longing, brilliant, brilliant writing. And there is a line in which, there are a couple of lines in which the title, The Atlas of Impossible Longing is explained, okay? And that is one of the most beautiful lines I have ever read in any book. So, go and read this book, and you will be taken to Calcutta in the early 1900s. You will be taken into the lives of Amulya, Nirmal, Kanan Bala, Bakul and Mukunda. And you'll feel you're in a different world. So go to that world, read the book and come back. Till we meet again for the next video, you guys read lots and lots and lots of books. And take care. Bye-bye.